All right, so this is 2.6 percent, basically solving word problems with percent. This is our last section that makes up our first test, which is chapter 1 and chapter 2. So there are some additional things I kind of want to cover to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as what needs to be done before you actually take that chapter 1, chapter 2 test. And then what's going to happen as we approach that testing date. First thing we want to with 2.6 is go to that PowerPoint, and this is, again, I usually want to touch on if there's a slide that I feel is important. And this would be that slide. It kind of gives you the key words that we use because basically you're going to take a word problem and you're going to convert it into an algebra equation. And once it's into an algebra equation, then you should be able to solve for whatever the missing variable is. So you have some key words that easily translate into a mathematic symbol. The first one is that word what, and sometimes you're going to see what, it'll be like what number, what percent. Anytime you see the word what, you know that's what you're looking for. So that's going to be the missing part of the equation, okay? And that's where you would use your variable. The most common variable you're going to use is x. The other key word is the is. Anytime you see the word is, that's your cue that you're going to use, put an equal sign in the equation. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about percent and the way I write percent. If you look at this word problem here, 15%, they right away convert it to a decimal. And I don't necessarily do that. What I do is anytime I see the word percent, I'm going to write it 15 over 100. Okay, and that's going to be, and actually 15 over 100 will simplify into 0.15. But that's just the way I do it. And like I said in previous lessons, there's different ways to do it, but again, that's how I do it. And it really helps, especially when you're trying to find the percent of the number. Okay, so just remember, I'm gonna always write percent over 100 because that's what percent means, how often something happens out of 100. Okay, so 15% means 15 out of 100. Anytime you see the word of, that's your cue, you're gonna use a multiplication sign. So these are the three cues. What is your x variable, is you're going to use an equal sign, and of is your cue to use a multiplication sign. So here we go, we start out. Now this problem, it actually didn't say what is, it said find 29% of 20. And find is really what is, okay? When it says find, what you're saying is what is 29% of 20? And that's important because I need these words, okay, what and is. All right, so a lot of times you won't necessarily see it written that way, but you gotta be able to take whatever way it's written and convert it into this kind of algebra equation. So we know when we see what, we're gonna use x. Is tells me I'm gonna use my equal sign. 29%, now this is again, what's a little different. I write that 29% as 29 over 100. And of, we would use our multiplication sign of 20. Now, a lot of times I'm just going to write 29 over 100, and then you'll see parentheses 20, and that means I am multiplying those two together. So this is your algebra equation. Well, the x is already isolated, so there's not a whole lot I got to do to the x. There's nothing I got to do to the x. But what I do have to do is solve this over here, and it's a fraction being multiplied by a whole number. Again, number of ways you can do this. You can do 29 divided by 100, make that into a decimal. You don't really have to. If you have a calculator, again, you could write the 20 over 1 and just do 29 times 20 and go straight across, and we get 580. 100 times 1 would be 100. So you're doing 580, you're going to divide it by 100, and you're going to get 5.1. as your answer for that. So again, what it's saying is 5.8 is 29% of 20. Okay. And I'm going to do one example of all the different ways you can see this, where you're finding, what is 29% of 20, and then it'll give you, say 5.8 is what percent of 20, and so you're finding the percent, or to say 5.8 is 29% of what number. So those are really the three ways you would solve these word problems with percent. All right, so here's our next example. And again, you're going to pretty much solve it the same way. It says 94 is 4% of what number? So we just start 94. We don't do anything there, but is, what do I use for is? Is means I use my equal sign. 4%, I'm always writing my percent as 4 over 100. And this will avoid, a lot of you convert these to decimal, and that's fine. But sometimes people will see 4% and convert it to 0.4 instead of 0.04. You avoid the normal mistake of that happening by just writing it 4 over 100. Okay, and I'll show you as we go further. So 4 over 100 of means we're multiplying. And then what number? That's my cue. Then I got to use my x variable. So we notice my x is over here. All right, so I'm going to have to get rid of this 4 of 100. And this is where what I do is I'll convert that to a decimal, okay? So I'm going to go 4 divided by 100. It's going to convert to 0.0. So what I'm going to have is 0.04x. That's what 4 over 100 converts to a decimal. And it's just a single step algebra equation at this point. So what we're going to do is divide both sides by 0.04. And when you get 94 divided by 0.04, you get 2,350. So that what that's telling you is 94 is 4% of 2,350. And it's an easy check. If you take that number, multiply it by 4% or multiply it by 0.04, you should come back to that original number of 94. And you do, again, what I did was the 2,350 times it by 4%, which is 0.04, and it comes back to that value of 94. All right, so our third type of problem, and this one we need to find the percent. So it says the number 20.5 is what percent of 82? And this is probably the hardest of the three types of problems, right? But you're still going to set it up the same way. This is not saying what number, it's saying the number. It's giving you that number, 20.5. And it says, again, is, that's your equal sign. Now, what percent? This is where you got to be careful. We're talking about percent, and we don't know what the percent is. So we must write that as x over 100. Okay, I don't know what percent that is. Okay, but remember, no matter, even when they gave me the percents, I always wrote percents over 100. So what percent is going to be x over 100 of, means I'm multiplying, 82. Okay, so I don't know what that is. That's what I'm going to be trying to solve. So I go 20.5, nothing to do on that side. Now I'm going to write this a little bit different. Since I am multiplying and I'm kind of going straight across, you're going to have the 82 over 100, and then I'm going to kind of write the x behind it. All right, because that's 82 times x would be 82x, 100 times 1 would be 100. And then at that point, I'm going to actually divide 82 by 100. Different ways you can do it. You can multiply both sides by the reciprocal, or in other words, 100 times 82, 100 times 82. So again, different ways, but I'm just going to convert that percent to a decimal of 0.82. So what I have is 20.5 equals 0.82x. And then in order to get my x by itself, I'm just going to divide that 0.82 to both sides. So again, I'm doing 20.5, and I'm going to divide it by 0.82. And what I get is 25. Now, since I already wrote my x over 100, it's already given me the answer in percent form. So this is 25%. We don't have to divide that by 100 or convert it to a decimal or anything like that. That is my answer. What percent? It's 25%. So 20.5 is 25% of 0.82. So if you wanted to check this, okay, remember 25% is 25 divided by 100. So you got to convert that to a decimal and get 0.25 and then times it by 82. And it comes back to the number of 20.5. But again, when you're entering that, you want to enter it as 25%. If you did it another way, where you had 0.25 as your answer, and the reason why that's wrong is because it would have to be converted to a percent. When you do it this way, okay, with the x over 100, it is already going to be, and when you get your answer, that answer is already in percent form, because that's why we wrote it as x over 100. So really, these are the three examples. This one where you're finding the number of 25% of 20. So this one's probably the easiest because your x is already isolated. This one is, they're giving you the number, and they're saying 94 is 4% of what, and you're finding what that number is. Okay, and then this is the other way where they're giving you the number and they're telling you, what it gets you to, and they want to know what percent of that, what percent is that of 82, and you get 25. The other examples, we've got some word problems that I want to go over with you guys, and then again, kind of your final instructions before your exam. All right, something that's extremely important with these word problems, and I'm going to give you examples of kind of what I'm talking about, is to not only read the word problem, but also read what that answer, what the final answer wants, okay? So if you're reading this problem, okay, birthday celebration meal is $42.60, including tax, so the tax is already into that $42.60, but not the tip. Find the total cost of a 10% tip is added to the cost of the meal. In other words, the meal is, you get your bill and it's $42.60. But obviously we need to include a tip, 10% tip. So we're gonna have to find, so wait, before we talk about that. So what you're gonna really do is gather all this information that's provided in this problem. And we have to make it into one of these what percent worded problems are. So if you go back to some of these examples, we want to get it into one of these type sentences, okay? So what is it we really need to find first? Before we can find the total amount of the meal, okay, we got to figure out that tip. What is the tip of a $42.60 meal if you want to leave a 10% tip? So the question you really need to find, or really need to ask yourself, is what is 10% of $42.60? That is what we have to figure out. The first step to solve this. Okay, I have to figure out what is that tip. All right, because I gotta, and the tip is not going to be the cost of the meal, right? That's just what I need to add on to that $42.60. All right. So once you come up with this sentence, and this might be the hardest part of these word problems, is taking that data or that word problem and convert it into one of these type sentences. What is, okay, so x equals 10%. We're going to write as 10 over 100 of, or multiplying, and we'll drop the dollar sign now and just write $42.60. All right, so we're just multiplying the x is already isolated, so it's really not that hard. I'm going to convert the 10 over 100, 10 divided by 100. Gives me 0.1. And then I'm going to times that by 4260. So again, let's do it all, show you on the calculator. You're going to do 10 divided by 100. We get the 0.1. Then we're going to times that 0.1 by 42.60. And what you get is 4.26. And again, what is that 4.26? That is my tip. That is the tip I'm leaving on this meal. Now, it didn't ask me what the tip is. Okay, it says find the total cost. We are looking for the total cost. Well, to find the total cost, I have to take the original price of the meal and add in our tip. So in other words, I got to do the 42.60, add in my tip of 426. Okay, so this is the meal. This would be the tip, and then that would give me my total cost. So I already have 426 on my calculator. I add the 42.60 to it, and I get 46.86. And just when you enter that answer, you don't need a dollar sign. So you just you would just enter $46.86. That is the answer to that problem. So just understand, because some of these, and I'm going to give you, I know I'm going to actually go into the program to show you some of these examples, but some of them, they have multiple parts. Okay, so the first part may say, well, find the tip. The second part may say, find the total cost. So you just got to make sure you're checking and reading what they're actually asking you. All right, so for this next problem, I actually want to get into the program here and give you an example of kind of what we're looking at on. This is actually number 9. It was number 9 for me. And it starts out, find the number described, and it says, what is 16% of 60? The thing I want you to really pay attention to is there's 3 parts remaining to this problem. All right, so if you just jump right into it and solve this, that would be fine, but you got to make sure you understand what they're asking you. So if you hit continue here, because that's what it says, press continue. It's not asking you anything yet. Now, what it wants you to do is kind of take this and make it into an algebra equation. And we kind of discussed this stuff already. So what number, they give you the x. So when you see the word is, you know that you're using your equal sign. Now what they do again is they convert this already to a decimal form. The way I teach it is we're going to first write that as 16 over 100. Okay, and then convert it to a decimal, but that's all right. They already have it as decimal form. The word of tells me I'm using the multiplication sign, and then the 60 they already bring down. So this is again what you want to do for the first part. You basically say that I know when I see the word is, I use the equal sign. When I see the word of, I use the multiplication sign. And then the last part is it wants you to solve it. So again, once I take that problem and I convert it to this form, I do 16 divided by 100, I get 0.16. And then I got to times that 0.16 by 60. I would get 9.6. So if we go back to the share screen, so that's where you would enter 9.6. Okay. So that was that first type of word problem. The next one I wanted to look at was, there's one about one about the used. Here it is. Let's do a similar question. All right, and it talks about it says a used automobile dealership recently reduced the price of a used compact car by 5%. If the price of the car before discount was $18,700, find the discount and the new price. Again, if you just go ahead and solve this problem right away, as far as finding the new price, you're probably going to get these wrong, because you got to remember, what is the first thing it's asking you right here is the discount price. So we got to find what is the savings of this car. So we got to take this information and get it into one of these what is kind of problems. So what is the first thing we have to find? If I want to find what my discount is, and I know that it's reduced to 5%, okay, what I need to do is find what is 5% of that 18,700, right? That is my first thing I have to do. All right, so you have your word problem. What is 5%? And then you just convert these things into an algebra equation. What, and again, I put what, technically you could put what number, same thing. What is equal sign 5%? We're again 5 over 100 of is our multiplication sign 18,700. Convert my 5 over 100 to a decimal, you get 0.05, and then you're timesing that by 1800. It's 18,700. So 0.05 times 18,700 is going to give me 935. And again, it's important to know what is the 935 as far as that word problem goes. Okay, it's talking about a car, right? So that $935 is my discount. And it actually happens to be what they are asking you in that first part of this problem. And then again, you have multiple parts when it says one part remaining. Discount is 935. Put that in. Check your answer. Okay. And then it says, thus the new prices. So again, that's my discount. That's not what I'm not paying $935 on a car that's 18,700, right? That is how much I'm saving off a car that's 8,700. So how do I find that new price? Okay, you're going to take your original price and you're going to subtract your discount. Okay. So you're going to take your original price of 18,700, subtract your discount of 935, and our new price is $17,765. And again, do not enter the dollar sign in that problem. We could enter that in. 65. Check it. And you're good. So again, that's kind of what you're doing with 2.6. Now what I want to show you guys, because that again is our last section, as far as our new material for that first exam. So once you've kind of finished this, before you request the password to take the exam, you need to make sure you do the practice exam. And I kind of want to get in there and show you where all that stuff's located. So what you'll want to do, you come into your assignments, you have your chapter 1.1 and 2 test review. All right. So I don't necessarily do a video for that. What I always would do in my class is I would hand out a handout that kind of helps with the review. So where you're going to find that, and I did a PDF of that, and where you find all the PowerPoints is down here in Course Tools. You open up Course Tools, and you go to Document Sharing. And mine will have actually all my documents, but you'll only see the ones that I've already shared with the class. But part of what I shared to the class is this Chapter 1 and 2 practice review. So if you click on that, it'll open up a PDF of that Chapter 1 and 2 test review. And actually, what's nice about the review is it kind of corresponds. Your number 1 will be very similar to my number 1. It'll be the same thing. It'll be different numbers, but same type of problem. All right, so each number, if you look on here, I kind of show you how to do it. Ideally, we'd like you to start and try to solve these on your own. But if you do get stuck, we do have this review that will help you kind of solve these. All right, so once you finish that, once you finish your Chapter 1 and 2 test review, at that point, just check all your assignments on your main menu assignment tool. Again, guys, all these assignments and the test review, there's no reason that they are not 100%. Because again, you can solve these problems as many times as you want. All right, so you should check your scores and make sure they're all 100s. And by that, let's say I'm trying to answer this problem and get it wrong the first time. You know, you can come over here to your question help, but let's say you do it again and we get it wrong the second time, and it says, well, here's your final check, and let's say I get it wrong again. And then it says your options are next questions or similar question. Go to next question, then you're just skipping that altogether. But if you go to similar questions, well, now you have that a different problem. Okay, it's not going to be the same problem, it'll be a different problem. But again, you have those same 3 chances to solve that. So if you're going through it and you're still just really not getting it, and you've kind of viewed my video and you're still not getting it, now that's where I would encourage you to come on to the my office hours to see if we can figure out what exactly is causing the problem. But again, so all those assignments should be hundreds. Okay, you will email me and say, I need the password. I finished all my assignments. I do a quick check to make sure, yes, you did finish them all. And then I'll send out your password. So I know, so some of you maybe, like I said, work a little bit quicker than others, and that's fine. But don't get too far behind. And again, I kind of have a pacing chart on where you should be on that same place where you find the PowerPoints. You can find our syllabus. I've emailed that out before as well. But again, this is kind of your guide on where you should be. So by Monday the 25th, you should have these sections configured. But you want to make sure you're ready to take that test June 3rd. And I think I even gave you a little grace period as far as leaving it all the way up until June 8th. June 8th, if it is if it's not done by June 8th, what's not done prior to June 8th will turn into zeros. And then we just got to kind of move on. When we get to this date of June 3rd, all the new material will unlock. Okay, I think by June 3rd at noon, all these other sections you'll see will start popping up on your assignment. And that exam date will be June 24th. So again, just make sure you're checking this every once in a while. Make sure you are not too far behind on where you should be. And again, once you finish these assignments and your review, email me, I'll check it, and I'll send you the password, and you can take your exam on chapter 1 and 2. We're not doing it. You're not going to a testing center or anything like that. You're just taking that on your own. Again, you technically you can use your notes and you can use your calculators. And that's, if we were in class, I would let you do the same thing anyways. But again, it's important, you guys going forward with this material, that you definitely learn it, because it is, algebra really is that basis, stepping stone as far as mathematics. So that's 2.6, and it's the last, like I said, the last section that makes up the first exam. Good luck on your exam. Again, email me as soon as you finish everything, and I'll check it and I'll send out the password for that exam.